Think about the students in your classroom who are learning English while still growing another language at the same time. You might already have one or two in mind as you listen. They're listening carefully, translating in their heads, making sense of new vocabulary while holding onto the language they use at home with family, friends, and community. Nowadays, schools and educators are using a term that encompasses these experiences. We are talking about emergent bilinguals, a concept that represents a significant shift in how we see students. An emergent bilingual is a student who is developing proficiency in more than one language at the same time. Most often, that means they speak a home language and are learning English in school. What matters essentially is the word emergent, as it signals that bilingualism is actively forming. It tells us students are going through an active process. Instead of defining them by what they don't yet know in English, the term recognizes the linguistic knowledge they already bring. That's a big shift from older labels. It is worth asking ourselves, in our own conversations and documents, which labels are we still using most often? This isn't necessarily a matter of casual conversation only. Language is everywhere, including data dashboards, IEPs, and staff meetings where some semantic changes can improve everyone's experience and approach. Terms like limited English proficient or similar options tend to frame students around what they lack and center English as the only measure of success. By using the term emergent bilingual, we begin to reframe this story for ourselves and for our students. It reminds us that these students are developing bilingualism, and that bilingualism, when supported well, comes with cognitive, academic, and cultural benefits. Language development becomes additive, and not something that replaces or erases a student's first language. This lens also changes expectations. When we understand emergent bilinguals this way, we start seeing home language as a resource. We recognize that students are building two language systems, and that growth doesn't happen overnight. We recognize that these students are going through a journey that surpasses the classroom's walls. Some students spend a long time listening before they speak. Others begin using short phrases while still relying heavily on their home language. Silent or quieter periods during the first stages of language acquisition are completely normal and do not have to mean lack of ability. However, as proficiency grows, students start forming more complex sentences and participating more fully in academic conversations, especially when scaffolds are in place. Eventually, language becomes more automatic, and students demonstrate increasing academic fluency in both languages. Nonetheless, we must remember these stages don't move in a straight line. You may have seen this when a student suddenly uses much more complex oral language, but still struggles to write it down, or the other way around. Students may progress quickly in one area and more slowly in another. What matters is remembering that language acquisition is a continuum, and that students can strengthen English while also continuing to develop their home language. So what does this mean for classroom instruction, and how can teachers integrate these notions in daily practices? Seeing students as emergent bilinguals changes how we plan and teach. First, it means valuing all the languages students use, not just English. When teachers honor a child's home language as part of learning, students feel more confident and engaged. A simple place to start is asking, where in my classroom do students recognize their home language as something they can actively use during our lessons? These opportunities can look like allowing notes in home languages, pairing students for home language talk, or even learning some new words yourself. This also shows up by creating opportunities for students to draw on their full linguistic repertoire. Translanguaging, identity-affirming practices, and intentional use of language supports help students make meaning and connect new learning to what they already know. Secondly, it means designing lessons with access in mind. Visuals, sentence frames, structured talk, and text at accessible levels allow students to engage with grade-level content while continuing to build English proficiency. Last but not least, it means planning for language and content together. Teachers identify not only what students will learn, but how language will be used to access, discuss, and demonstrate that learning. For example, you might name students will explain, compare, or justify, and plan the exact phrases or sentence frames that will help them get there. In classrooms that embrace this approach, students at different points in their language development can participate in the same lesson. The goal stays the same, but the supports shift. Instead of pulling emergent bilinguals out of grade level work, we surround them with scaffolds that help them engage meaningfully in it. What's important is that progress in both languages is noticed and celebrated. Students are encouraged to keep building their vocabulary and proficiency, understanding that bilingualism can become a unique tool for learning. This can happen in many different ways, but what we have seen schools do the most is highlight language improvements on report cards, host family conferences, or individually recognize efforts. Educators all around the country must understand that emergent bilinguals are learning English, but also doing so much more. Their skills and challenges are helping them build a bridge between languages. Speaking two tongues or more is bringing strengths, forming identity, and nourishing cultural knowledge. Even now, many emergent bilinguals are already translating for family, bridging cultures, and navigating multiple worlds every day. These perks will help them become better students, professionals, citizens, and human beings later in life. But they will also have an impact on their communities one day at a time. When schools adopt an asset-based lens and truly see students as emergent bilinguals, instruction becomes more inclusive, access becomes clearer, and every learner benefits from a deeper appreciation for language and learning. There are many ways teachers, schools, and districts can support their emergent bilinguals. We would love to hear from you. Were you familiar with the term emergent bilingual? How are you supporting them now and are planning to do it in the future? If you're interested in how to move forward, Ensemble Learning has many online resources to make sure multilingual learners have every tool they need to succeed, right at their classroom or hallway. Check out our video description and find the link to our Learning Center, where you can explore ideas and strategies to create a fairer environment for everyone.